Hello, welcome to CET 4884, Security Methods and Practice. In this session, we will continue addressing detection methods used by the IDPSs. Then we will address selecting the proper IDPS for the organization. In addition, we will address the strengths and limitations of IDPSs. And last, we will discuss IDPS implementation. What methods can be used to detect an intrusion? In the last session, we mentioned signature-based IDS as one of the methods. We will continue here talking about the signature-based IDS, and then we will continue with the other methods that's being used to detect intrusion. The signature-based IDS or knowledge-based IDS examines data traffic in search for search of patterns that match known signatures, pre-configured and predetermined attacks patterns. The signature-based IDS technology is widely used because many attacks have clear and distinct signatures. The problem with the signature-based approach is that as new attack strategies are identified, the IDS's database of signatures must be continually updated. Another method is statistical anomaly-based IDS, and in the statistical anomaly-based IDS or behavior-based IDS periodically sample network activity and uses statistical methods comparing the sampled network activity to traffic that is known to be normal, which is considered as the performance baseline for the network. When the measured activity is outside the baseline parameters or clipping level, the IDS will trigger an alert to notify the administrator with the measured activities. The data that's measured from the normal traffic and is used to prepare the baseline can include variables such as host memory or CPU usage, network packet types, and packet quantities. The advantage of the statistical anomaly-based approach is that the IDS can detect new types of attacks for its looking for abnormal activity of any type. Unfortunately, however, these systems require much more overhead and processing capacity than signature-based ones, as they must constantly compare patterns of activity against the baseline. Another drawback is that these systems may not detect minor changes to system variables and may generate many false positives. The third method is the stateful protocol analysis, which is similar to the stateful inspection in firewalls. Stateful protocol analysis is the process of comparing predetermined profiles of definitions of activity for each protocol state against observed events to identify deviations. Some of the drawbacks for this method are the analytical complexity of this method, the processing overhead. In addition, it may fail to detect unless protocol violates fundamental behavior. It will not be able to detect it, and it may cause problems with protocol that it's examining all the time. Fourth detection method is the log file monitors, and the log file monitor is similar to the network IDS and reviews the log files generated by servers, network devices, and even other IDSs for patterns and signatures in the log files that may indicate that an attack or intrusion is in the process or has already succeeded. The patterns that signify an attack can be subtle and hard to distinguish when one system is examined in isolation. But they may be much easier to identify when the entire network and its systems are viewed holistically. Of course, this approach will require the allocation of considerable resources, since it will involve the collection, movement, storage, and analysis of very large quantities of log data. Once an IDS detects an anomalous network situation using any of the previous methods, it has a number of options to respond or to address the issues, and that will be depending on the policy and objectives of the organization that has been configured, and it's as well as the capabilities of the organization system that's been already in place. IDS responses can be classified as active or passive. An active response is one in which a definitive action is initiated when certain types of alert are triggered. IDSs with passive response options simply report the information they have already collected and wait for administrator to take action. Usually that happens with the visual alarm, maybe email messages, page or phone message, log entry, and many other things. To select the proper IDS approach and product, we need to look at the wide array of intrusion intrusion detection products that's available today that addresses a broad range of organizational security goals and considerations. Given that range of products and features, the process of selecting products that represent the best fit for any specific organization's needs will be very challenging. It's not easy to select the proper product. You have many options, you have many products to select from, and you need to evaluate each one of them to select the proper IDS. But actually we have some of the questions that can be used or can be useful when preparing a specification for acquiring and deploying an intrusion detection product. Those questions could be related to organization requirements or could be related to organizational constraints. For organizational requirements, the questions that will be asked will be: what are requirements that are imposed from outside the organization? Is your organization subject to oversight or review by another organization? Are there requirements for public access to information on your organization's systems? Are there other security specific requirements levied by or required by law? Are there internal audit requirements for security best practices or due diligence? Is the system subject to accreditation? Are there requirements for law enforcement investigation and resolution of security incidents? The questions related to organizational constraints are or could be: what are your organization resource constraints? Do you have enough resources? What kind of resources do you have? And what's the budget for acquisition and lifecycle support of intrusion detection hardware, software, and infrastructure? Is there sufficient existing staff to monitor an IDS full-time? Does your organization have authority to instigate changes based on the findings of an IDS? IDS products, features, and quality also varies from one product to another, and we need to look at the different questions that will assist in identifying the proper features for the company. So we can look at the scalability of the product compared to the environment. We can also have questions on the product testing. If the product been tested against functional requirements, tested against attacks, the reaction towards attacks, and how will it react. Also, there are other questions that be targeted or that be required for the level of expertise for that product. Another set of questions could be related to the design of the product, which gives flexibility for the software or that product to be changed as the organization grows. The flexibility of changes are growing with the growth of the company. And also other questions or other set of questions that is related to support for the IDS product. So all these set of questions can assist on the long run. How could that IDS be selected to properly serve the company? In this slide and the next 3 slides, you will see a list of strengths and limitations of the IDPS, which is the intrusion detection and prevention systems. So we do the detection and prevention functions, and you can read through these slides. I think the slides are clear and they talk themselves through themselves. You don't need me to read through. It's clear. So if you have any issues understanding one of the strength or limitation, please let me know and I can address it separately, or I can address it through the email. To deploy or implement an IDS, a control strategy must be adapted. There are 3 basic control strategies that can be used to implement an IDS. The centralized IDS control strategy, with all IDSs control functions are implemented and managed in a central location. And the other strategy is the fully distributed IDS control strategy, which is, in this case, the control functions are applied at the physical location of each IDS component. And there is the partially distributed IDS control strategy, which combines the two. While the individual agents can still analyze and respond to local threats, they report to a hierarchical central facility to enable the organization to detect widespread attacks. A control strategy determines how an organization exerts influence and maintains the configuration of an IDS. Like the decision regarding control strategies, the decision about where to locate the elements of the intrusion detection systems can be an art by itself. As an organization selects an IDS and prepares for implementation, planners must select a deployment strategy that is based on careful analysis of the organization's information security requirements and integrates with the organization exists IT infrastructure, but at the same time causes minimal impact. The network IDS and the host IDS can be used in tandem to cover both the individual systems that cannot connect to an organization's network and the networks themselves. When deploying network-based IDSs, there are 4 recommended locations for the sensors. Location number 1, which is behind each external firewall in the network DMZ. The IDS sees attacks that originate from the outside world and may penetrate the network parameter defenses. The IDS can identify problems with the network firewall policy or performance. The IDS sees attacks that might target the web server or FTP server, both of which commonly resides in this DMZ. Even if the incoming attack is not detected, the IDS can sometimes recognize in the outgoing traffic patterns that suggest that the server has been compromised. Location number 2 is outside an external firewall. At this point, the IDS documents the number of attacks originating on the internet that target the network. And at the same time, the IDS will document the types of attacks originating on the internet that target the network. The third location is on major network backbones. And at this point, the IDS will monitor a large amount of network's traffic, thus increasing its chances of spotting attacks. In addition, IDS detects an unauthorized activity by authorized users within the organization's security parameters. Location number 4 on critical subnets, where the IDS detects attacks targeting critical systems and resources. This location allows organizations with limited resources to focus these resources on the network assets considered of greatest value. For deploying host-based IDSs, the proper implementation of the host IDSs can be a painstaking and time-consuming task, as each host IDS must be custom configured to its host systems. Installation continues until either all systems are installed or the organization reaches the planned degree of coverage it's willing to live with regard to the number of systems or percentage of network traffic. Just as technicians can install the host IDS in offline systems to develop expertise and identify potential problems, users and managers can gain expertise and understanding of the operation of the host IDS by using a test facility. That will be all for this session. If you have any questions, please let me know. In the next session, we will measure the effectiveness of implementing and deploying different IDPSs methods. So that will be all. Thank you and have a great day.